In this video, we're breaking down every character who may have completely missed their final chance to be in Smash. The rejected DLC fighters, the characters that fans really wanted, seemed feasible, and were likely close, but didn't make the cut. Which ones are still likely to make it in a future entry, and who will likely never join Smash ever. At the end, going over one of the most polarizing characters that has ever been requested for Smash. Why make this video? Well, Sora's in Smash now, hey, bet you never heard of that, and is likely the last new fighter we're gonna see for a long time. He's generated a lot of hype since his reveal, but I found myself thinking before this that with how highly requested he really was, with Sakurai later revealing that he won the original Smash 4 fighter ballot, that if Sora wasn't included now, he'd almost certainly never be in Smash. The reason being that Nintendo had to have undoubtedly made a run at getting Disney to let him in throughout this process. You can't just not make an effort to have your game's most highly requested character included. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, well, Disney could have eventually came around if Sakurai got rejected now. Really? You're gonna refuse Nintendo now when they're in the midst of one of the most successful eras ever? The Switch is thriving. What if the next Nintendo console brings in a Wii U type era again? Third parties are willing to collab with Nintendo now because they see value in having their characters and games on the platform. They were just lucky to get the two Final Fantasy music tracks that they did in Smash 4, really. If the companies don't see the value, I don't see the collab. Bottom line, the time had to be now, and it happened. And unfortunately for fans of a lot of the newer Pokemon, this may be the end of the line for their Smash opportunity. The unfortunate reality of Pokemon and Smash is, with one exception that I'll get into in a minute, literally every modern pick is used as a vehicle for promotion rather than picking any that they like out of the 800 plus available. Incineroar was from Gen 7, the most recent gen before Ultimate's release, same with Greninja with Gen 6 and Lucario for Gen 4. The killer for Gren being that in the very early development plans for Smash 4, the fighter was just listed as, quote, Pokemon from X and Y, showcasing just how blatant this idea for promoting new characters really is. So as long as they're still with the Switch branding for the next several years and there's no need for a completely new Smash entry, we could end up going through a couple new generations of Pokemon before the next representative joins the battle. We're virtually guaranteed no Gen 8mon joins the battle, so the heavily rumored and apparently decently requested in Japan Cinderace, along with Rillaboom, Snom, whoever would have been the Gen 8 rep, they literally have no reason to include in the future because, as they've proven nowadays, it's all about the marketing. This same logic applies to Fire Emblem. I think if you're hoping to smash with Lady Ray, you're better off looking in a waifu pillow subreddit rather than Nintendo's premier fighting franchise. They've only included main characters from the newest games in Smash with an exception of an Echo and Chrom, so like Pokemon, any modern character who just won't be relevant in several years from now should have a very fearful fanbase at this time. But remember the key exception with Pokemon that I was alluding to? Well, this is Brawl's inclusion of Pokemon Trainer. This guy wasn't promoting anything new prior to his release. Gen 4 was the newest generation at the time. The only thing you could maybe stretch this to is referencing 2004's Fire Red and Leaf Green, which were Gen 1 remakes. But having the Classic 3 included here gives some slight hope that if there is a very unique concept in this vein, if for some reason they once again feel the need to jam 3 characters into one slot, you never know. Maybe N will one day join the battle for those Gen 5 remakes in the long-term future. And man, I get Mewtwo was in Melee, and I get Plusle and Minun were apparently considered for Brawl, but not only are those only going one generation back, and one of them didn't even happen, so it's not a valid argument, but more importantly, they don't represent what Pokemon does for Smash nowadays. Nintendo only owns a third of the Pokemon company. They are more distant than other franchises from the group, and have shown that they are purely money motivated. Release an unfinished Sword and Shield with 2 sets of DLC to make up for the lack of a post-game later. Are you kidding me? They have no reason to include anyone other than a new pick. But while it looks grim for modern Pokemon and Fire Emblem characters especially, is this also the case with Sonic? Why did Mario's biggest rival not receive any other reps in Ultimate? Will they also potentially never be in Smash? Think about all the third-party franchises who got multiple reps before Sonic. Castlevania and Street Fighter did, oh, but those are just echoes, right? But wait, Sephiroth is in now, so Final Fantasy does too. And don't give me the whole Sega technically has other reps with Bayonetta and Joker, I'm talking Sonic specifically here. And the fact that these series got a second rep before this one did genuinely pissed me off. But then I dug deeper. What's the real reason for this? Well, I think it has to do with a lack of urgency. Literally every new third-party rep in Smash Ultimate takes priority in comparison from Nintendo's perspective. Think about it. Every new series rep getting in obviously takes priority. Ken was an easy echo. Final Fantasy had a major lack of Smash content, so including Sephiroth was a good excuse to add more in for Ultimate. You can go down the line and make an argument for every single one, and that combined with all of the timed first-party reps that they wanted to add, like Byleth, Pyra, Mythra, and the like, it may have just not been a spot available for a new Sonic character, plain and and simple. Smash 6 will almost certainly get 1 or even 2. I think Eggman is a given as a unique pick, and we'll probably have a semi-clone to go along with him like Knuckles or Tails. Way too early speculation here, but I'm almost certain that they make up for this eventually. The Sonic series definitely shouldn't be cast in the same light as Pokemon and Fire Emblem, but some highly requested trend characters might be. These are reps from games which had their moment in the spotlight before slowly phasing out as fans moved on to other games. These are mostly third parties. Fall Guys was touted as the next Mario Party, only not to be able to sustain that initial interest. Among Us was massively popular, had a much bigger stretch than Fall Guys, but has fallen down to earth as well. Reps from these two games and others were speculated about by fans, and for good reason, as they were on the Switch and had very fun moveset potential, especially with the Imposter. They have a good relationship with Nintendo, but aside from new updates that come out to give these games a jolt in momentum, they just haven't been able to sustain success like games like Minecraft did. It's had its down years too, nowhere near to the same degree of a drop, and was also much more popular to begin with, so it was no surprise to see its recent resurgence. So while some may have ruled out some random characters like these from the outset, I think that if they're not in now, this may have completely put the stamp on it. Notice someone in particular that I left out though? Fortnite's Jonesy was a highly requested character by many in a much more serious vein than the two examples, because Fortnite had sustained more success than them, even though it has also had a pretty big drop. There's still some mainstream collaborations with the game and a ton of cool moveset potential with the building and weapon variety, but why did I think this guy had a legit chance though? Not only because of the popularity, but when a representative from Epic Games was questioned about Fortnite representation in Smash just last year, he responded with no comment. Not, oh, it would be cool to see, or simply no, just an odd answer, and that made me think that there had to have been something brewing here that he couldn't discuss. If this game manages to have some random resurgence in a few years from now like Minecraft, there may still be some slight potential. I'm not saying a lot, but definitely none in the will never be in Smash category. Why even bring up the quote-unquote trend characters though? They've never even added a third-party one to Smash before, so why consider them? Well, number one, that on its own doesn't mean it can never happen, and two, they have added characters from modern stuff such as Mii outfits, look at Sans, Cuphead, and more. Games which might never reach the initial hype that they had, and focusing on the former here, I'd like to touch on Undertale representation because I was seeing a lot of support for Frisk Online for the final DLC spot. There could have been a lot of fun moveset potential here, and considering Sakurai's meeting with Toby Fox prior to the inclusion of the costume and how the relationship between them seems to be pretty good, you'd think that there was more than just this. But it's definitely possible that the Mii costume was considered a big deal for this franchise. Even with the Deltarune content, the game hasn't nearly recouped its massive popularity levels in 2015 and 16, so if it was still slightly relevant by 2019 when Sans got in, it's tough to imagine that the popularity would hold through to the next Smash entry. Popularity isn't everything. Sakurai always says the number one priority for including any new fighter is whether they're fun to play or not, and if the games are going to continue to be on Nintendo consoles, if Toby Fox is going to continue to have a good relationship with Sakurai and other sections of Nintendo, making music for their games like he did for Little Town Hero, and if there's still potential for a fantastic moveset scene with a rep, then I don't see how we can entirely rule out an Undertale character, but without a doubt, the chances have greatly dropped by now. So while I'm not definite with an Undertale rep never being in Smash, someone who has certainly missed their chance is Alma from Xenoblade Chronicles X. A character I was personally really rooting for, so it's kind of tough to make this segment. I just love the ambiance and music from the game. Oh, and by the way, there were no music tracks or stages based on Xenoblade Chronicles X either, leaving many fans wonder, including myself, as to why that is. There just had to have been a spot left for her to join the battle, right? Albeit a character from a game which isn't on the Switch, one of the few Wii U games to actually not be ported, but that didn't mean that it couldn't be ported down the line. But then we got Pyra and Mithra, which pretty much sealed the deal. There had been reports that Xenoblade Chronicles X wasn't originally even planned to be a Xenoblade game, just kinda got turned into one throughout the development, so if it's more distant from the rest of the series and there are rights issues with its music and whatnot, that could spell disaster for fans of a representative's inclusion. Unless there's a sequel to this game that reinvigorates the character's relevancy that releases in close proximity to the next Smash game, and we assume that it was a complete coincidence that almost nothing from the original was included in Ultimate, all of which combined is next to impossible, it's safe to say that Alma's chance has run out. And while we're on the topic of Xenoblade, I highly doubt Rex will be in any Smash game in the future either, considering that he was literally rejected in the place of Pyra and Mithra. I get Chrom was rejected and eventually came back, but that was purely for roster padding as an Echo, and Rex I don't think is realistic to get in that type of a role, so he's probably completely done if it wasn't obvious enough already. Let's talk about Geno, a character who gets brought up in the build-up of every single Smash game as to whether or not he's going to finally join the battle. You'd always see online videos like, oh, top 10 characters I'd like to see in Smash. Gino would always be on those lists around the 8 or 9 position, and I'd often thought that very few actually wanted Gino in Smash modernly, and it was just a boomer pick that got parroted by these online entities, leading to his consideration for Brawl and Smash 4. If that's the case, how can you see anyone several years from now feeling any better about this character? Super Mario RPG, the game where Gino originates from, is not included on the SNES Online service, and this is because Nintendo doesn't have the full rights to it. The game was made in a collaboration with Square Enix, and obviously while Nintendo and Square's relationship is becoming closer and closer, but getting the rights to Mario RPG, this was definitely not a given, and it was likely seen that it wasn't worth the effort to put this game in their online service, while characters like Sora, Cloud, and Sephiroth were. Gino has still remained as a Mii outfit, and I see no sign of him regaining relevancy in the future because of the Switch Online situation. If nobody has an opportunity to play his game on official hardware, there's no way that he's going to get more and more relevance. And you know what? They say third time's a charm for a reason. He got rejected from Brawl, he got rejected from Smash 4, and when the reports eventually come out years from now about Ultimate, I won't be surprised to hear that he was considered again. Two characters who I kinda lump together in terms of Smash requests are Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Both are characters who were brought back more into relevancy with content on the Switch with the trilogies of their original games, Crash albeit getting more of a push with the racing game trilogy being on the Switch as well. And because of this increase in relevancy, he was probably more highly requested than Spyro, but I feel Spyro was probably more likely due to him being much more well known to the younger generation. He was at the forefront of the Skylanders franchise, a series which Nintendo had a direct collaboration with. But in the end, neither one of these characters made it, leading to some thinking then maybe their opportunity for getting into Smash has run thin. Thing is though, for Smash to be able to continue, I feel we still need some major blockbuster announcements. Maybe a collaboration was possible, but it didn't happen because of that? Since Sakurai stated repeatedly, whether entirely truthful or not, that Nintendo was fully behind the decisions for DLC fighters, then maybe you could understand from their own perspective why they'd rather have Min Min or Pyra in to promote their own stuff rather than promoting Crash or Spyro. It still hurts their likelihood not getting in Smash right now in my opinion, because nobody knows what the future holds for their current partnership, although we're definitely not going to put them in the never category. A character I unfortunately may have to put in that never category though is a Yokai. This series started in 2013 and it looked to take on the giant of Pokemon in terms of the monster catching and battling genre, by also being on Nintendo's hardware alongside Pokemon, but that's not really the point now, is it? The franchise started out hot with an anime in Japan that, if you listen to reports, was doing very well amongst the younger audience. Many kids thought that it was cooler than Pokemon. This was the brand new thing. And the unfortunate part for Yokai Watch is this was all happening during the Smash 4 DLC wave. And when the characters started to be picked for Ultimate, this franchise started taking a pretty big nosedive. Yokai Watch 3 sold significantly less than 2, barely selling much of anything outside of Japan, to the point where Yokai Watch 4 would end up being made a Japan exclusive. And if Yokai Watch stays this course, there's not a doubt in my mind that we'll never get a Smash rep for them, purely because of past omissions such as Takamaru from the mysterious Marzami Castle, who Sakurai felt wouldn't be well known outside of Japan. It's a shame too, because they could have done this in a number of ways, simply include the mascot Jabanyan as a solo rep, or which I'd much prefer, Nate or one of the protagonist characters being another Pokemon trainer type where you could rotate through the different yokai, but alas, it doesn't look like it was meant to be. An interesting group of characters who may unfortunately never be in Smash anymore are the Chorusmen. For those of you who don't know the history with these guys in Smash, I'll give a brief overview. I covered this in a previous video where we chronicled every single leaked character in Smash history, real Smash leaks, and in one of them there was a list of characters who were originally planned to be in Smash 4. This called almost every single character, but there were a couple of characters that were left out, being Chrom and the Chorusmen. These characters, despite being on the original plan documents, which had every other character correct, were not included in the final release. Chrom would end up getting in for Ultimate, so would the Chorusmen eventually become playable in Ultimate too? Obviously, since we're talking about them today, that did not end up happening. These guys are representatives from Rhythm Heaven, which is a smaller Nintendo franchise, but it still has its subset of fans. I know there's lots of people who are really passionate about it and would love a rep like Karate Joe or something, but if the Chorusmen were considered for Smash 4, likely scrapped for hardware limitations since they couldn't get the Ice Climbers working at the time, having 2 characters at once on the screen, so having 3 characters with the Chorusmen would likely be impossible. But as we saw with Ultimate, with the game getting the Ice Climbers back, this hardware limitation likely wouldn't be an issue anymore. So why weren't the Chorusmen playable? It has fans thinking now that maybe hardware wasn't the issue all along. Maybe the team just didn't feel these guys either deserved to be in Smash or didn't see the moveset potential working out. If they had the opportunity to bring back Chrom, which they did, they would have likely had the opportunity to bring back the Chorusmen as well. This would have likely entailed a full-on unique moveset, whereas Chrom obviously didn't, so maybe that was also a factor. But if they didn't include these guys here, who's to say that this franchise is going to get any more popular in the future? We can't predict that because there's no past evidence of this franchise ever being mega popular. Maybe an assist trophy or something down the line, but a playable role for the chorus kids just doesn't seem likely to happen anymore. Let's talk about Doom representation. Doom Guy has been a pretty hype me costume inclusion, but I did see some fans getting disappointed, believing that he was pretty much at peak popularity now, and if he was relegated to a me slot now, this may completely deconfirm his eligibility for the future. And I'll be upfront and say that I highly disagree with this. The reason for this being because unlike some characters that I've talked about who were massively popular at one time that has since decreased, Doom Eternal, which is the most recent Doom title, has sold more than any other game in the series. The franchise is on an upswing here. It's not trending downwards. The me costume was likely included as an indicator to fans being like, hey, we notice how much you're requesting for this guy, we know how fun a moveset for him can be, we just don't have any spots right now, but we heard you. They did this with King K. Rool at the end of Smash 4 and others in the past, and because of this, if Doom stays on this course in the future, I will be absolutely floored if Doom Guy isn't in the next Smash game. Absolutely shocked. I think he's almost a lock. But unfortunately for Golden Sun fans, if this franchise stays the course that it has been with no new games, just relying on requests from people who have played the previous titles, I highly doubt Isaac ever comes to Smash Bros. In a playable role. His assist trophy got taken out for Smash 4 from Brawl because of just how irrelevant the series was at the time, only to be brought back for Ultimate after requests in the fighter ballot from the very passionate fan base were heard. They couldn't have been to a gargantuan degree though, since, well, we wouldn't be talking about him like this now, would we? He'd be playable in the game, and Golden Sun needs a massive resurgence to get a rep in another Smash game in my opinion. Same goes for other dormant series like F-Zero, Earthbound, Kid Icarus, Star Fox, whatever. Until these series force Nintendo's hand, there will likely never be a character from there in Smash. That's just how I feel. Touching on Travis Touchdown for a second, a character who was requested by many to be in a DLC type role, his series No More Heroes had his creator publicly come out and say that this series is over. If he was ever gonna get in Smash, this was likely the final chance. I'm not too familiar with the series, I've never played an entry, but it's not massively popular, not first party, and not continuing. What reason does Nintendo have to include Travis in several years from now? It doesn't make any sense. But is this also the case with Monster Hunter? This is one of the most interesting situations to me with Smash Ultimate, as if I was to pick any character who I was 100% adamant would be getting in the game, I would have gone with Monster Hunter for a variety of reasons. Rathalos was a boss in the game to begin with. There was already Monster Hunter representation, so it would only make sense to have this hero versus villain matchup with an actual Monster Hunter from the series. When he wasn't included in the base game, I was even more certain of him in a DLC role because of just how well Monster Hunter Rise sold on the Switch as a timed exclusive, with Sunbreak getting a lead-off role in the most recent Nintendo Direct, a very important spot, so he was still my pick for the final DLC role. But it didn't happen. And since over these last few years many have felt the same way about this, what if Nintendo just doesn't see the fighter as a good fit moveset wise? Perhaps they just prefer having only a boss in the game, as Rathalos is still a much more iconic character than any playable character from Monster Hunter for the general public for sure. So while I definitely won't put Monster Hunter in the will never be playable category, it's certainly telling that with just how close Nintendo and Capcom have gotten over this, and there were so many opportunities to include the character now, why didn't they? Is it similar to the Sonic situation? Perhaps. I just don't have as concrete of an answer, which makes me skeptical going forward. But the character who many feel perhaps most likely has missed his chance is Waluigi. Where do we begin with this guy? The quintessential meme pick that many fans have either desperately wanted in Smash for years or have been adamantly against getting in. The debate seems to be pretty polar, either on one side or the other, and for the longest time, I was kind of against him being in Smash. This guy has only been in spin-offs throughout the entirety of his Mario run, literally no main series game appearances. And if many are already complaining about too many Mario reps in Smash, then him being included would only add to that problem. Even during the Smash 4 run where we got Rosalina and Bowser Jr., you could still make arguments that they were more important to include than Waluigi. Sure, Dr. Mario might not be, but at least he represents his own series and was an easy clone to build off of Mario. But then Smash Ultimate happened and my views started to change on this. Daisy getting in is one thing, a similar level of icon value to Waluigi, but at least she has Peach to be entirely based on moveset wise. It's just when Piranha Plant got in, things started to change. This guy is literally a generic enemy from the Mario series. He got into Smash, so icon level of the character does not matter. If they rejected Waluigi here, made him an assist trophy again despite them knowing the results of the ballot by this point, and he was certainly the most highly requested Mario character in an internet poll, absolutely. Does this all mean that it's the end of the line for Waluigi as many fans are claiming? I don't think so. Every Smash game has included at least 2 mainline Mario characters with the exception of Brawl, where in that case Wario could technically be thought of as his own series rep and Diddy Kong kind of falls under Donkey Kong. Smash 64 had the Mario Brothers with Yoshi and DK sort of being separate. Melee had Peach and Bowser with Dr. kind of being a unique case as we've already established. Smash 4 had Rosalina and Jr., and Ultimate kind of continued this pattern. There was one original character in Plant, an Echo with Daisy, an asterisk beside K. Rool again for the Donkey Kong situation, and that's a similar pace to what we've been used to. But in a future Smash entry, they're going to need more Mario characters if they want to continue this. He's a character with a ton of moveset potential, a character that fans want, and who's to say that he won't receive a more prominent role in the series in the future? It can really only go up from here. So I'd hedge my bets on Waluigi being in Smash in the future. While many characters we've discussed today have certainly missed their chance, the idea that we should be throwing Waluigi in the same category is simply wrong. If you're new here, I don't know, subscribe or something.